What's good, everybody? It's your boy Devin back in the building. And y'all been liking the Prime Hood Cinema? Somebody hit me in the comments, said, react to Dead Meat, Tales from the Hood. So I got you, fam. I got you. So we going to get right into this one, all right? But before we do, if y'all haven't liked the video, like it right now. If y'all haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. Now, Tales from the Hood is a classic. I watched this one and the second one too many times. So, yeah, we about to get right into it. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Tales from the Hood, released in 1995. Tales is an anthology film, meaning it's a collection of different short stories rather than a single feature-length narrative. The only other anthology film I've covered on the Kill Count is Trick or Treat, way back in 2017. But while that movie featured intertwining stories that all took place in the same location, Tales from the Hood introduces its shorts individually using an overarching frame narrative. It's the old EC comic style framing device that's conventionally used in anthology films, including in the best-known example from the horror genre, Creepshow. Tales from the Hood was co-written and directed by Rusty Cundiff, a filmmaker who would go on to direct 25 episodes of Chappelle's Show. It was Cundiff's idea, pitched to his co-writer Darren Scott, to make a horror movie that also had a message to it.
And when Rusty first said we should make these about social issues, I was like, what? Entertainment. It's a horror thing. And then the more I thought of it, I realized he was right, and that's what's made the project special all these years.
Yeah, I forgot y'all was even in the movie.
To explore issues facing black people in America. And while the film isn't super gory and doesn't have any sexual assault, it does depict uncomfortable subject matter like police brutality, gang shootings, and domestic violence. So, heads up on all that. The great thing about Tales, though, is that it's able to explore these heavy topics with a tone that keeps the movie fun. Nowhere is that more apparent than in the zany performance by Clarence Williams III, who I've been quoting for 2 decades thanks to his role in Half-Baked as Samson Simpson.
I'm Cuban. Yes, Cuban B.
As funeral home director Mr. Sims, Williams guides us through a bunch of earnest stories, skillfully directed by Cundiff, that never get too preachy or heavy-handed. Because despite its messaging, Tales from the Hood remains a horror movie first and foremost, with some legitimately scary moments and memorably hilarious lines. With 5 different stories going on, it's also going to have a bunch of kills for me to count, so let's get to work. The movie begins with a gun-wielding skeleton, and he is smoking! A trio of gang members named Bulldog, Ball, and Stack approach a funeral home in South Central LA, their pickup spot for a bunch of drugs they're acquiring.
Now, as soon as we get the shit, as soon as we raise up off this motherfucker, man.
Well, get in there, then, and quit standing around talking about refried beans.
Why the fuck you gonna refry some beans?
They really...
Why not just fry
I forgot they even talked about that.
Get up. The parlor is owned by a guy named Sims, who really knows how to make a headbanging entrance.
I've been waiting for you boys.
The drugs these dudes are picking up were found by Sims in an alley, and he just wants to get rid of them. He's not exactly familiar with the narcotics business, nor its terminology.
Now, where's the shit? The shit? The shit. The shit.
God damn, I love when Clarence Williams says the shit, even when he's got cigar flakes on his teeth.
Don't worry. You'll get the shit.
Happens to the best of us, man. I know from experience. Business!
Ew.
Before Sims grabs that dookie for him, though, how about they check out this dead body? Ball asks what happened to the dead young man named Clarence, and his question kicks off our short story format. In Road Cop Revelation, we see that Clarence was a young rookie police officer who one day responded to a call in a quiet neighborhood with his partner Newton. They find that 2 other officers have pulled over a guy for, let's see here. Oh, yeah, broken taillight. Gotta get those fixed, you know? The man being harassed is Martin Morehouse, a city council member who's been taking down corrupt cops for selling drugs. That doesn't win him many fans in the force, though their harassment's not enough to deactivate this activist.
I've got nothing against good cops.
You what?
I
I said I've got nothing against good cops, but I will see low-life scum like you run out of the department.
A fight breaks out, and like I said, content warning, because it's tough to watch as Morehouse is beaten by officers Billy and Strom, who's played by Wings Hauser, and whose name evokes Strom Thurmond, the long-serving racist Dixiecrat senator from South Carolina. Clarence's partner Newton is no gentleman either, and also participates in the brutality, all while Billie Holiday's haunting Strange Fruit plays on the soundtrack. Clarence stops the beating, but is escorted away by Newton, who tells him he has no right interfering in matters like this.
Those assholes are cops. Who the fuck are you to judge them?
Though they promised Clarence that they would take Morehouse to a hospital, officers Billy and Strom instead drive him to the dock, where they put him in his front seat and stick him full of heroin, because they want to ruin his reputation as well as end his life. A little cocaine here, a little gravity there, and Martin Morehouse is killed in a murder set up to look like a drug-induced accident. A year later, an out-of-work Clarence is nursing his guilt with alcohol, but that doesn't stop him from having hallucinations of the martyred Martin Morehouse.
Clarence, bring them to me.
Clarence agrees to do just that, so he summons his 3 former co-workers to the cemetery on the anniversary of Morehouse's death. I like how Cundiff and Scott wrote the 3 evil cops here, giving them individual shades of malice, from ringleader to weak-willed follower to someone who fraternally defends heinous actions.
On the force, the personalities that exist are everything from cowards to heroes to idiots. It's just everything that exists in the normal world exists on a police force.
Clarence brings them to Morehouse's grave, which Strom promptly defiles by pissing all over it. Man, that's not cool.
Way to go, Strom. That's pretty
fucked
cool.
up.
Oh, never mind. Officer Billy thinks it's cool. Hilarious line delivery there by Dwayne Whitaker, who's probably best known as Maynard, the pawn shop guy in Pulp Fiction, but who's also been in some Rob Zombie movies. He was the guy in Halloween 2 who got stabbed in a field, and an occult specialist in Devil's Rejects and 3 from Hell. Strom orders Billy to join him in urination, and since these guys are the kind to follow orders, the mustachioed officer steps up to comply. Right as Strom and Newton go to execute Clarence, Billy's grabbed by a zombie hand that beats his head against the tombstone and pulls him underground. The grave then erupts open, and Billy is shown to be dead. He's got a big old hole in his chest because his heart was ripped out by a zombie Martin Morehouse. And boy, is that zombie mad. Production shot this scene in an actual graveyard, which is wild when you consider that special effects supervisor Kenneth Hall had to dig a fake grave there and fire off an underground air cannon for these effects.
That's
Bullets
wild.
don't faze the undead man, so the other officers flee. And after Morehouse pulls a Night of the Living Dead cemetery zombie on them, they drive away out of the graveyard. Only problem for the cops is they can't seem to shake this guy. How far back? Not far back at all, dude. After
That got me a little bit.
Takes Manhattan-style teleportations, Morehouse gets the cops to crash, which allows him to murder Officer Strom by pulling him through the car roof and decapitating him. I could use a few more blood spurts on that headless body, but at least we get a good fake head made by K&B Effects that Morehouse holds out like a predator. Newton takes aim with a faulty-looking fake gun and fires some shots that blow up his service vehicle along with zombie Morehouse. Seems to do the trick at first, but apparently not even this kick-ass fire can put the Zed down, because he appears behind Newton in an alley and lifts him up until he's air planking. Newton rips off some of Morehouse's chest, exposing a little chem lab inside his torso. Cool. And then the zombie council member uses some supernatural forces to send a bevy of hypodermic needles into Newton's body. They pin him against the wall where the mural to Morehouse is, and after one final needle is sent straight to the back of his mouth, Newton is killed in a spectacular way, kind of melting against the wall and then being turned into graffiti, meant to warn people to treat each other better.
Welcome to my world, bitch.
Zombie Morehouse isn't quite done. He's still mad at Clarence for not preventing his death in the first place, so he attacks him in a way that leaves him locked up in a psych ward and blamed for the other cops' deaths. Might seem harsh, but Cundiff says it's to show how people's actions and inactions have consequences.
It kind of goes to, when do you decide to do what's right? Sometimes coming up around to the right side, he's just too late.
With that story done, we're back to the funeral home. And although the three gangsters would like to get the shit and leave, Mr. Sims just keeps going on and on about dead bodies. Find an interest outside of work, guy. I suggest drumming. Sims's next story is Boys Do Get Bruised. Young Walter Johnson, played by baby Michael Jordan from Space Jam, has got a problem. A monster problem.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the Monstars. This monster is much scarier. Get a load of its creepy claws. Adding to his issues, Walter just started attending a new school, where a douche kid named Tyrone fights him at lunch. But the black eye he's got didn't come from his peers. The bruise is noticed by a school nurse played by Takia Crystal Kima, known for In Living Color. She brings it to the attention of Walter's teacher, Richard Garvey, another symbolically named character, played by director of the film, Rusty Cundiff.
Yep.
Cundiff began his career as an actor in films like School Days, written and directed by Spike Lee, who serves as an executive producer on Tales from the Hood, which basically means he helped get it made through funding and influence. Walter tells Mr. Garvey that his injury came from the monster at home.
It came after my dad died.
The boy draws pictures of the monster, which he says will act as a voodoo weapon. If he destroys the picture, it'll destroy the monster.
I'm gonna burn him up.
He's also drawn a picture of Tyrone. And you know what? Looks like that Crayola magic works. Because all of a sudden, Tyrone's on his way to the hospital with both his arms and legs broken.
Boy must have had weak bones.
Yes, weak bones. Guess he couldn't draw on their strength anymore. Mr. Garvey visits Walter's home that night and meets the legs of Walter's mom, Sissy, played by Paula J. Parker, who I know from Friday and as Trudy Frickin' Proud. She tells Garvey that Walter's bruises are just a product of his clumsiness, then comes on to the teacher because she loves a man in a nice big 90s suit. When Garvey mentions the monster, Sissy gets pissy. She yells at Walter for all his monster talk until they're stopped by the sound of the monster getting home. I love how this scene is shot from Walter's perspective. It really puts you in his shoes as he watches his mom's boyfriend Carl get home and asks Garvey what he's doing there. Carl is played by Detroit's own David Allen Greer, who got his BA from U of M, Go Blue, and his master's from Yale. After a stage career that earned him a Tony nomination, he turned to screen work and was cast in, hey, look at that, In Living Color. Thus, he was largely known as a comedic actor when he was cast as this monster of a character, who's already fixing to hit Walter some more.
I will talk to him.
Yeah, something tells me the only language Carl knows is violence. Carl makes Sissy show Garvey to the door, and after Walter watches his hope for salvation prepare to leave, the monster comes back into his room, angry about having its likeness drawn.
You like to draw fucked up pictures of people.
Domestic abuse alert, because Carl gets physical with both Walter and Sissy, whom he beats with his hand and a belt. The abuse is overheard by Garvey, who races back to the house and is led in by Sissy. Carl turns his attention from Walter to the teacher, and another long fight ensues, occasionally producing
he got his ass whipped.
It doesn't end until Walter, hoping to stop Carl from using a frying pan against his mom, breaks his arm with the drawing. He then breaks the bastard's body all over, with a series of creases and one mighty final crumple. I love the effects for this sequence, done by Screaming Mad George, which makes a lot of sense if you remember his rubbery, surreal nightmares from movies like Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, and of course, Society. The voodoo attack leaves Carl looking like a little monster who got exposed to light.
Ain't over yet, bitch.
It really is, though, dude. A stomp from Sissy silences Carl, and to cover up this peculiar cause of death, Walter lights the paper on fire, leaving Carl's corpse nothing more than a burnt bastard skelly.
Yes, sir. Walter killed the monster.
You know, I've heard of drug dealers keeping their buyers around by talking too long, but this is just getting ridiculous, Sims. Fuck it, though. Guess they'd better just sit back and hear about where this doll came from. Hit us with the crazy hair.
I ain't gonna front. I fucked with this story more than
anything.
anything.
Senator. He's running for governor now, but also he's an ex-Klan member, so some people are not fans of his Jesse Helm-style pro-dog whistling campaign.
They were as relentless about finding a job as they are hounding me. Might put an end to welfare.
Duke Medgar, whose name evokes David Duke, is played by Corbin Burnson, a.k.a. Dr. Alan Feinstone, a.k.a. Dr. Larry Kane. I didn't even recognize him with all that hair. The protests are fueled by Duke's recent purchase of this building, called the Dollhouse by an angry man named Eli, whose actor Art Evans was also in Christine, where he played the first guy killed by the evil car. The so-called Dollhouse has a bloody history to it. After the Civil War, the Confederate owner of the house decided to massacre his newly emancipated slaves rather than let them go free.
12 bodies hanging from that tree alone.
Strange fruit indeed. According to local legend, the souls of the slain slaves remained at unrest until a voodoo woman named Cobbs bought the place and put them into dolls.
Word is, they remain in the house right to this day.
And although he hasn't seen them yet, they really are there. Duke doesn't mind the risk, though, and his...
First and foremost, I apologize, everybody. I'm going to have to finish this video probably tomorrow. It has to do an update. It just cut the fuck off for me. So I'm going to be finishing this soon, too. Look out for this as well. I'm liking it already, though. I'm digging it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, look out for the rest of this. I got y'all. Don't worry about it. I got y'all. Just look out for it. Yeah, and I'll see y'all in the next video. All right.